Final Frontier. These are the voyages of Starship Paragon. Our ongoing mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no one has gone before. Captain's Log, Stardate 47634.44. In this video today, we are going to be taking a second look at the Avenger class Battlecruiser. This ship has been, is the first ship I had bought from the C-Store, and it is still my primary ship I use on Star Trek Online. So, to start out with a little bit of background. The Avenger class Battlecruiser is a Federation Tier 5 ship, available from the C-Store, for 2,500 Zen. It has two variants, the standard variant and the fleet variant, and it will soon have a Tier 5 U variant. Again, the standard one is available from the C-Store for 2,500 Zen, or the fleet variant is available from the fleet store of any fleet with a Tier 4 starbase or above for 4 fleet ship modules, 20,000 fleet credits, and 1 fleet ship provisions. However, the price goes down to 1 fleet ship module if you had already bought the C-Store version, as I had. The ship will be upgradable to Tier 5 U for a price yet to be determined, which will give it upgrades we'll get to in a few minutes. So, now let's get on into the aesthetics of the design. So, since the Avenger is a non-canon Federation ship, it never appeared in any Star Trek TV show or movie, they had to start from scratch in terms of the aesthetics. This is the Avenger as it looks when you first purchase it from the C-Store on the standard variant. Overall, I do quite like the design. It does, it is very loyal to most Starfleet designs, with a saucer section, secondary hull with deflector on the front, and then 2 nacelles on the sides. It does have the split neck, similar to the one seen on the Odyssey, although my one little gripe about this is although it does have the split neck design, it does not have the slipstream bonus. That was one of the selling points for the Odyssey, is that because it had the split neck, it could travel longer at slipstream. However, the Avenger does not have that bonus. However, in this case, I do like how they incorporated the split neck design into the ship. Overall, this is a very aggressive Starfleet vessel, as it should be. This is intended for combating Klingon birds of prey and the like, so they've greatly compacted the design. This is a relatively small Federation cruiser, and as you can see, we have starting with the saucer here, we have our bridge mission pod here, which is exposed. Not sure why that's exposed. I mean, you'd think for a warship the bridge would be buried somewhere in the middle, but I don't know. I'm okay with it. And then I like these stripes here. As you can see on this saucer, I don't know what it is about them, but they're like weapon hardpoints that make it look a lot more aggressive, like the hot rod lines, I guess, kind of things. My only gripe is how they look with other visuals on. We'll get to that in a little bit, but for example, let me show you. So if we go ahead and enable the I have a different skin on, but if we go and go back in and change it to the type I was using before, you'll see that when you apply other skins, like the Mako skin, Other skins tend to like to apply textures to those lines there. However, it doesn't really look that good. Like, the contrast of the black on the yellow, on the white, is good, but then you got this shiny here. It just doesn't look right. So, I mean, the stripes are fine as long as you're not using many visuals. So it does limit the customization a little bit. But as long as you keep most shield visuals disabled, it's fine. Okay, so other points of the design. We have these cannon emitters right here. We have 2 on either side and 3 in the front that it can fire its dual heavy cannons out of. Phaser beams right there, there, and there. Those are the only ones that are immediately visible. The escape pods, I think these here are escape pods. And then I think some back here are some escape pods, I think. Okay, one thing I do quite like about the Avenger, so if we look on the underside here, you'll see we have these windows. But because this is a battlecruiser, they're recessed into the hull, which is a nice touch. However, also, when the Avenger enters combat, i.e. red alert turns on, there will be ablative armor that covers up those windows, protecting them from any, stray phaser blasts. They'll reopen as soon as you leave combat. It's a small touch, and I don't notice it that often, but it is, a nice touch nonetheless. Moving on to the secondary hull and nacelles. On the front here, we have this armored deflector array. Most Starfleet deflectors have the whole thing visible. This one is heavily armored with only a small rectangular portion visible there. It does look quite nice with deflector visuals, like the Mako ones, so that's cool. On the underside here, I haven't quite decided if these are escape pods or windows. I think they're escape pods. They might be I think they're escape pods. But yeah. So, moving along here, we have under here, I'm not quite sure what the purpose of this is. You can't, it might be a shuttle bay. It's too small to be a shuttle bay. You can't launch anything from under here. There's no like special ability like the Aquarius or the sensor probe that launches from the underside. So I'm not quite sure why this little indent is here, but it goes fine with the visuals all in all. On the top of the secondary hull, you can again notice the split neck that goes quite well with this design. You notice somethings here, not quite sure what those are. And from this back viewport, you can see we have the single shuttle bay, impulse exhaust there and there on the back of the saucer. As you can see, the warp nacelles on the Avenger have a more square-ish, compact design, which is very nice. They go well with impulse and warp visuals, which is very, very cool design. Also, there's 2 options for the nacelles. You can either have them with or without fins, as you can see. Small touch, but I'm glad we get that extra customization on there. So that's basically, you can see we have these larger torpedo tubes here, which we'll get into in a little bit. But all in all, I do very much like the Avenger. It's compact, but still loyal to the Starfleet design. I do quite like it. Okay, so other customization options. For the material, it comes by default equipped with this Type 6 material here. But if you'll look, we also have Types 5. I don't know, I don't like that one. 4, okay. 3, 2, and 1 types. We also have the special Avenger skin. Now this is the one that I like to use a lot because it makes the ship look more stealthy. If you're going to go into combat, you want to be, as invisible as possible, short of cloaking. So I don't know. I like this design better than the Type 6 because it makes it look cool. I don't know. I just really like this material, the Avenger material. It's only on the Avenger. although you do have the options of the other types 1 through 6. I am not a lifetime subscriber, so I can't show you what the veteran skin looks like, but I can show you what the fleet skin looks like. Yeah. I'm sure there are some people out there who will disagree with me on this, and I respect your opinion, but in my personal opinion, this design looks absolutely disgusting. Normally I like the fleet skin, but on the Avenger, it just... bleh. We have this bluish gray on most of the ship, and then we have this murky... I mean, it's not... It's got the shininess to it, but it's like a murky tan. It doesn't look good, and it doesn't look stealthy. Okay, I mean, it doesn't look stealthy because the colors are just barely too bright, but it also doesn't look cool because on the Type 6 skin you can see that cool contrast, that zebra texture that makes it, you know, look cool in contrast. But this, it's just contrasted enough that it can't look stealthy, but they're just similar enough that they can't look like zebra. It doesn't look good. And I don't know. I wouldn't recommend the fleet skin. My personal favorite is the Avenger skin, although my second favorite would be the Type 6. Alright, so additional customization options. There is no special bridge for the Avenger, but I have equipped the Pandora Prometheus bridge, and then we have our large, medium, small interiors, like standard. We have our standard patterns on the various different parts of the ship. In terms of other customization options, we again have the fins or no fins on the nacelles. This is an option that's only available for the fleet variant. This is how the standard variant looks by default. However, you have the fleet version. You can also use this nacelles down design. Normally they are up like this, like most Starfleet vessels, but you can also choose to have them down. I'm always in debate about which design I like better. This way it kind of reminds me more of Voyager, with its deflector in front here, 2 nacelles on the side of the parallel to the deflector, and the sort of elongated saucer. This kind of reminds me of a more aggressive Voyager, what the warship Voyager would actually look like. But usually I do go with the nacelles up design, whatever floats your boat. So in terms of aesthetics, I like the Avenger. It looks compact, stealthy, aggressive, and very customizable all at once. I do quite like it. Also, I do like to enable the Mako deflector visuals and the Mako impulse engine visuals, like so, although they're not showing for some reason. Alright, so that's it for aesthetics. Now let's move on into Starship stats. Alright? Okay, now, the lore and visuals of the ship are all well and good, but the important thing is how does it play? What are its stats, and how good is it? Is it worth the investment? Well, I'll get into whether it's worth the investment later on, but let's start with the stats. Okay, so, first of all, our weapons layout. The Avenger features a 5-4 3-aft weapons layout and can equip dual heavy cannons. This in and of itself implies a more aggressive and escort-like build. It is technically a battlecruiser, the first Federation battlecruiser of its kind, but the 5-4 3-aft weapons layout does quite a bit help because in addition to the 3 dual heavy cannons and torpedo you'll find on standard 4-4 3-aft weapons layout ships, you can also fit in this dual phaser beam that I like for the extra firing arc. So, weapons layout's quite good. You can equip dual heavy cannons, very battlecruiser, very escort, very aggressive like it should be. We again have our deflector slot, no secondary deflector because it's not a science vessel. We have an impulse modifier of 0.15, so it is a little on the slow side, but it's decently fast, gets the job done. we have a flight turn rate of 9. And this is interesting because most Starfleet cruisers have a turn rate usually around the 5, 6, 7 range, right? Nowhere near fast enough to use dual heavy cannons. However, the Avenger has 9. So, here's where the difficulty comes in. Now, a lot of people like to fit the Avenger as a beamboat, with beams, beams, beams everywhere. However, if you slot some RCS accelerators in there, you can get the turn rate high enough to effectively use the dual cannons. For example, if I go ahead and go to impulse speed here, and check out my movement turn rate, with 2 decent but not top of the line RCS accelerators and Mako combat impulse engines, I can get 23.0 degrees per second at pretty low impulse speed. However, if I go to full powered engines and strategic maneuvering command, I can get that up to 30.1. And if you look, while this turn rate isn't the best, it gets the job done. I found that in conjunction with attack patterns and maybe evasive maneuvers, if you get really desperate, you can whip the ship around and use the cannons pretty quickly. Okay, I need to turn off my Skype. Elf, stop bothering me. Okay, Skype's off. So, impulse modifier. This ship can use its dual heavy cannons effectively if you load it out for it. Divert power back to shields. Okay. So, good turn rate for using dual cannons. Has a standard warp core, of course. Shield modifier of 1 on the standard variant, and 1.1 on the fleet variant. This is the fleet variant. So, on the fleet variant with Mako covariant shields mark XII, you get 9,780 shields with full power diverted to them. So, for a more tactically oriented ship, this is very... shields are fine. Shields are great. I really can't stand ships with thin shields. That really bothers me. The Avenger shields are just thick enough to get the job done, but not so thick that you have to sacrifice other things. In terms of hull strength and tanking, the standard Avenger has 37,500 hull strength. Now this is sort of low for a cruiser, but still quite high for an escort. The standard version, I mean, you know, it still gets the job done, but it could have been a bit higher. The fleet variant, however, bumps that up to a 41K base hull, and that is very good, because now I have 54,500 hull strength. Now, given I'm playing this ship as an escort, I don't have any neutronium, or, I think this RCS gives me a little bit of hull HP. Yeah. Oh, no, just resistance rating. It's not even hull HP. Yeah, so this ship, in terms of tanking and survivability, given the fact that it's tactically oriented and it's a battlecruiser, not a full-blown tanking cruiser, this is quite nice. In fact, it's only a few thousand points below my Uber tank, the Gal-X. So, if you're looking for a more survivable escort, the Avenger is definitely for you. And if you're a cruiser, if a person running a cruiser looking for a more tactically oriented cruiser that doesn't sacrifice much hull strength, the Avenger is definitely for you again. So that's quite good in the way of survivability and turn rate. Alright, we have 3 device slots like so. Let's get into the console layout, which is what I'm sure you guys all want to know about. The standard Avenger has 4 engineering consoles, 4 tactical consoles, and 1 science slot. And the fleet variant gives you an extra science station, giving you a 4-2-4 console layout. Alright? The Tier 5U upgrade for the Avenger, which I of course don't have because I'm not playing on Tribble, will feature a 5th engineering console. The console layout, again, is great. We have very good engineering capability, with 4 by default, 5 at Tier 5U, but we still get 4 tactical consoles. Not 5, unfortunately. That would be too overpowered, but we do still get 4. And that's great. The only thing it does sacrifice is science. We only have 1 on the standard variant, giving us pretty crappy science capacity. However, on the fleet variant like so, you get an extra 1. So in the console category, this is definitely a yes. This is a very good console layout. Very balanced. I can keep all of my weapons layout. I do have to sacrifice science a little bit, but I have 4 universal consoles equipped on here, plus damage boosters and 2 RCS accelerators that help me use the dual heavy cannons. Yeah, console layout is a go. In terms of bridge officer layout, again, very Battlecruiser-like, very good. We have our commander engineering station, which is pretty much a must on any kind of cruiser. Even if it is a battlecruiser or tactically oriented cruiser, it still does have a commander engineering station. I have emergency power to shields, reverse shield polarity, aux to structural, and warp plasma. We also have an ensign tactical station, which I have beam fire at will for my aft beams and my dual beams in the front. Ensign tactical with the lieutenant commander tactical, so that's 4 tactical abilities right there, where I can have tactical team, cannon scatter volley, and attack pattern omega to give me that extra cannon boost. And then we also have a lieutenant universal where you can slot anything you want. I have again slotted tactical to give me extra damage bonus. The only place where this thing does fall short is again in the science category, with only lieutenant. You can't slot your gravity well. I've only slotted a tractor beam and hazard emitters. So again, it sacrifices science for good engineering and good tactical capacity. Not really sacrificing much in either category. So that's great in terms of bridge officer layout. Okay, now a few other things to note about this ship. If all that wasn't enough to convince you to buy the Avenger, there's a few more selling points. First of all, it does have 3 of the 4 cruiser commands: weapons efficiency, shield modulation, and strategic maneuvering, with a 5-second cooldown each. These help out quite a bit. It doesn't have the escort flanking bonus, unfortunately, but in general, I think the cruiser commands are a much better option than that. Because considering it is relatively slow for an escort, you're not going to be flanking very often. Okay, so what about the Avenger's console? Like most Zen ships, it comes with a special console to define it. And for the Avenger, we get the Variable Auto-Targeting Armament Universal Console. So what does this do? Basically, it acts like a really fancy torpedo. That's why we have those big torpedo launchers right there and there. So, it'll be difficult to show you guys this while not in combat. So I'll explain some while I'm on my way to fight some Klingons. Yeah. Okay, so now we're in a little combat zone here, so I can help effectively demonstrate the VATA, as I like to call it, the Variable Auto-Targeting Armament VATA. So, this is a very diverse weapon. So, what it does is it is a triggered ability with a 90-degree targeting arc, and it fires 2 projectiles. However, what those projectiles do varies on which cruiser command you have active. The first one I'll show you is the Quantum mode. This is active if you have no command selected, like I do, or if you select the weapons frequency modulation. Alright, let's go and engage those Tholians. I'm going to slow down the footage here. So... I don't know if you saw that, but what just happened there? is when I activated the ability, it fired 2 quantum armament projectiles, which flew towards the target. However, on their way to the target, the quantum armament projectiles fired mini quantum torpedoes at random targets. Since this was the only enemy in range, this was the only one they fired at. However, if there were a bunch of enemies in a given area, it would fire quantum torpedoes at all of them. They fire 1 mini torpedo per second. Let me go and get some info on this ability here. I'll give you the stats real quick. Quantum mode. So they 2 to 10 kilometer range, 2 minute recharge, level 51 quantum armament. They do yeah, so they fire quantum armament projectiles, micro quantum torpedo, 1 second at an enemy within 10 kilometers. It deals 554.6 kinetic damage, 20% shield penetration. It fires 1 of these every second at a random target. Also, and there is 2 of those, so you get double that. So if we go and do some quick maths, assuming we have an average flight time of say 5 seconds times 554 per quantum torpedo times 2 armament projectiles, we get about 5,540 damage, assuming that takes them 5 seconds to reach the target. So that's a pretty decent amount of damage in and of itself. This spread out among many targets. However, when the armament projectiles themselves hit the target, then they will deal 10,614.4 kinetic damage in a 1.5 kilometer radius. So in addition to firing these mini quantum torpedoes, the quantum armament projectiles themselves that you fired deal this per. So all in total, you could get around, I don't know, like 25,000, just a rough estimate, around 25,000 damage for that attack, which is quite good. So yeah, that's the quantum mode. The next mode I want to go over is the tachyon mode. This one's active if you have the shield frequency modulation command active. What this one will do is, if we look at the stats again, it will again fire 2 armament projectiles, but these, oh, it's on quantum mode still for some reason. Okay, whatever. But I know what it does anyway. So what this one will do is, instead of firing quantum armament projectiles, it will fire tachyon armament projectiles. And what these do is, again, they fly towards the target, and on impact do around 4,000 kinetic damage. So when the armaments themselves hit the target, they do quite a bit less damage than the quantum mode. However, on their way to the target, they fire tetryon beams. So basically, you're sacrificing some of the raw damage for extra shield damage. Again, once every second, they fire a tachyon beam at a random target within 10 kilometers. It deals 3,702.7 damage to all shield facings of whatever it is you're firing at. And it seems we've killed all the Tholians. Part system. I need to find something to demonstrate this weapon on. Do we have any more Tholians? Yep, we have some more Tholians. Okay. So let's go ahead and... oh yeah, there's some. Mesh Weavers. Let's flip around and target those. Okay. So, let me set it on shield mode, and let's engage slow motion. Like so. As you can see, these mesh weavers now have their shields significantly drained, so I can move in with some cannon volleys. Rah! And they're blocking me with a web. But that's just because they're Tholians. It's not a problem with the ship. That's just because they're Tholians and they like to web you. Okay. So, alright, let's kill these Tholians real quick. Okay, that's enough. That's enough. Tholians. 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 I have a video to do. Tholians, I'm doing a video. Well, this is easy because their shields are drained because of my weapon. So yeah, basically if you set your command on shield frequency modulation, you sacrifice some of the raw damage for extra shield damage. This is a very good opening attack because you can use it, drain your enemy shields, and then move in with cannon volleys. Alright, now while this is recharging, I'll go over the third and final mode. If you select the command Strategic Maneuvering, you now get the Chronoton mode. Again, firing 2 projectiles, dealing around 8,000 kinetic damage in a 1.5 kilometer radius. So, does slightly more than the Tetrian mode, I think. Also, when these impact the enemy, they do minus 60 flight speed for about 15 seconds. So there's that. So basically, they slow the target down. Okay, hold on. I want to get out of this combat. I don't want to be in combat right now. I want to be showing you guys this weapon. Okay. So, these, like the other two... Gosh dang it. These, like the other two modes, also fire additional weapons on their way to the target. These fire a micro-chronoton torpedo every 1 second at an enemy within 10 kilometers at random, like the other ones. These don't do much damage at all to the target, the micro-chronoton torpedoes. However, they do significantly reduce flight speed and turn rate. So basically, Chronoton mode does the least damage, all totaled. Oh, I didn't mean to start firing weapons. Hold on. I want to fire just the torpedo first. Hold on. Gosh dang it, Tholians. Messing up my video. Okay, Mesh Weaver. So, let me go ahead and get into combat here. There's somebody else fighting these. Let me do it to this guy. Slow motion. Okay, that was... Okay, this is hard to see because of the Tholian web. Tholian web of ow. Okay, but as you can see, they're flying around the target shooting micro-chronoton torpedoes. So, they don't fly straight to the target. They fly around it, shooting mini micro-chronoton torpedoes, slowing it down so that I can take it out. Very helpful. These do the least damage of them all, I think, if I've done my math right. But they do significantly slow the target down. So the Vata is a very versatile weapon, either dealing raw damage, draining shields, or slowing the target down. Very versatile weapon, very useful thing as an opening attack, depending on what you want to do. Alright. So, now that I've shown you the Avenger's main console, I'll show you its last selling point. You may have noticed the thing in my 8th slot here. That's right, it has cloak. It has cloak. Okay, the Avenger does not come with cloak. It does not come with the cloaking device console. That would be too overpowered. However, if you had purchased the Galaxy X ship or the Defiant, or one of the Defiants, there's so many different variants of the Defiant, I can't remember which one it is, but one of the Defiants comes with this console. So basically you can get, okay, the Tactical Escort retrofit, that's what it is. So you can get the cloaking device console from either the Gal X or the Defiant. And if you have either of those ships, you can equip the cloaking device on the Avenger. However, I repeat, the Avenger does not come with this console. You have to buy one of those two other ships to get it. Don't want to have any misunderstanding there. So, it is a fully functional cloak. As you can see, I hit it, and I cloak. Like so. Again, very aggressive, stealthy ship. The Avenger is. So, it's a fully functional cloak. I'm invisible. I'm, no shields, no firing, all that stuff. I can decloak, I have the damage bonus on decloaking, I have all that stuff. However, there is one critical problem with the Avenger's cloak. It's not Battle Cloak. Seriously, this is not Battle Cloak. You can only use it while not at red alert. If you're in combat, you cannot use this cloak. That's a pain. I'll be honest, that is a pain. Because, as I see it, the cloak serves a few primary purposes. Purpose 1. To bypass enemies without having to enter combat. You can just cloak and then fly right past them and they'll have no idea you're there, unless they happen to have laid some minefields, in which case you'll get blown up. But you can bypass enemies without engaging them in combat. Its other purpose is for alpha strikes. Again, this cloak accomplishes that quite well. You can cloak, come in on your target, maybe set the Vata to whatever mode you want, charge up your weapons, decloak, and fire. I don't have anything to shoot at the moment, but you can fire. And you'll again get the 15-second decloak bonus that you might expect from that sort of thing. However, the third purpose of a cloaking device that this does terribly at is as a defense mechanism. Many good birds of prey know this well. If they're about to blow you up, use the cloak. You'll be invisible. Even though your shields are down, you'll be able to regenerate your hull strength without being fired at. While you do pose a bit of risk because your shields are down, that's a minor problem. But since the Avengers can't be used in combat, in order to use it, you have to essentially say, oh, I want a cloak. Impulse burst. This is on the Gladius, by the way. It doesn't come with the Avenger. Impulse burst. Get out of range. Be out of range for 10 seconds without being fired at by anything else, and then you can cloak. Let me show you a bit of footage of me trying to use this in combat. Oh no, I want to use my cloak. I want to use my cloak. Oh no, it's grayed out. Get me out of here. Oh no, they're so fiery at me. Oh no. Okay, I'm out of range. Better hope they don't catch up with me. I'm a terrible actor. Oh no, please don't catch up with me. Please, 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 please. Okay, now I can cloak. This ship needs battle cloak. Yeah, not so good for that. I wish this was battle cloak. However, the feds aren't supposed to have cloak in the first place, so I guess having any cloak is much better than no cloak at all. So, that's the final selling point on the Avenger. My final conclusion on the Avenger on whether or not you should buy it. The Avenger is an aesthetically pleasing, very powerful battlecruiser for the Federation. It can be viewed as either a engineering-heavy escort or an escort-heavy cruiser. Either way, it has very good tanking capability and very good tactical capability. The only thing it does sacrifice is science, so if you're a major science vessel runner, then don't get the Avenger. It only has one science slot and a lieutenant bridge officer station. So don't get it if you love science. Well, I mean, I like science itself, but I don't like science abilities. But yeah, so it is a very versatile ship, very customizable. You can fit it in many different ways and still be effective. Very versatile bridge officer layout. Very good ship all around, with great tanking and very great tactical capacity. This is reflected by its three cruiser commands, which can set its primary weapon, the Vata, on different modes depending on what you're trying to do. It can also use cloak. All sorts of great things on the Avenger. Very awesome ship. If you're a cruiser running looking for a more escort type ship, this is definitely for you. Or if you're a escort runner looking for a more survivable ship, again, for you. Anyways guys, I'm CNCK1 and this has been my look at the Avenger class battlecruiser. Anyways guys, I guess that's about it for this video then. Goodbye!